Good evening, everyone. It is very lovely to see you here on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel, where we are bringing you live for round 3 of the TS2 Touring Cars Championship, the top split of the Touring Cars Championship here, displaying for you this evening on a beautiful Saturday night here in Australia, or wherever you might be. We've got a few Americans in our Discord, and we have a Belgium in Calypso, so obviously the late hours of Saturday morning for himself, so the early hours for Devlin in Belgium. Before we get ourselves underway for qualifying, with a 5-minute qualifying around this track, we'd like to shout out to the series admin of Track Stars Racing Series, who is It's Racing Jarman Dalitz. It is his birthday today. So we'd like to wish Jarman Dalitz and It's Racing a happy birthday for you, my friend. Good luck with your race this evening, and thank you for making Track Stars what it is today. With all your hard work, if it wasn't for you, Track Stars would have never have gone on in the early days of the core racing group before you took over to take over Track Stars Racing Series on GT Sport, and then through the pandemic you made it into something really massive. Your involvement in the series, whether it is behind the scenes or on the track, whether it's your 4 Touring Cars Championship or whatever, or your many race victories, doesn't matter. You make this series what it is. It's Racing, Jarman. So I wish you a big happy birthday, my friend, and good luck. And hopefully you can bag a win this evening for yourself and for the It's Racing Esports camp. But as we get ourselves ready for a Daytona 500, we'd like to take you, hopefully, if I can, if I'm allowed, might be able to take you guys on a quick hot lap. Not going to be the fastest hot lap, but it's going to be a hot lap. See you running my teammates Rugworth's Mash Buds Racing, VL Racing, Lexus RCF. So essentially turn 1, big banking here. There are so many lines that you can take, but I think the best line for drivers this evening will be hugging that inside line as they go right up towards the section, coming onto the nice back straight. Full pitch black, it is night racing that we're going for. All series we've done night racing in TS3, and now we're doing the night racing in TS2. Coming onto the second banking is all about trying to hug that inside line, trying to be very careful with either your controller input on the joystick or whether it is just slight turning with the steering wheel. You've gone across the start finish line. Essentially that's it. That's all you can say for when it comes to Track Stars here at Daytona. Just basically take the inside line for as long as you can. Try and clip it without running the car too wide. Run the car a bit too wide, you're losing the time, especially if you are trying to do some bump draft. But as I jump out so I don't get in people's way, we can get qualifying underway for Track Stars TS3 Touring Cars Championship. So as we jump on board with... No, where is he? Where are you? Where are you, Jarman? Where are you, It's? Why are you not on track? I want to spectate you. I think these guys are in a party chat, and I think they're getting a bit of a driver's briefing from It's Racing. But I do hear some engines revving. So the pit lane is not open just yet. But as we get ourselves underway for TS2 for the top split, we had 7 pre-qualifiers jump into the main split. Unfortunately for some of our drivers in pre-qualifying, rules were breached on the rolling start. That was for the pre-qualifying drivers. So for those, the Branchy 63, Isuzu Brian, and the TS2 driver in Mario Marie all received a 30-second time post-race penalty for the failure of not obeying the rolling start procedure for the pre-qualifying. That was mentioned both in the driver's briefing and as well in the text chat before the race got underway. So very unlucky for Mario and Marie not to make the top split. He was looking good for 7th place, but unfortunately he could not break a rule, and I guess rules are rules. It is what it is. But luckily for Branchy and Isuzu, they just got themselves in as they finished both 5th and 7th at the end of that race. So I've just been given the all clear by It's Racing Jarman Dallets. And we are ready to get ourselves underway for this 5-minute qualifying session. Pick a partner, pick a friend, work together. You might even see a massive slipstream train forming up in this qualifying for 5 minutes. It's going to be a fast 5 minutes for our TS2 drivers this evening. We can't place any monopoly money on who's going to be the fastest or the pole position man. Obviously, I think if I had to say, I'll probably want to have the birthday boy in It's Racing on pole position. Not playing favourites at all to you, my friend. But as we are about to go green flag, we have a few honourable contenders here that could take out the 150 this evening. So we have drivers like Bite the Roses, who finished 2nd in the pre-qualifier, as well as Lunacy, who actually won the pre-qualifying race only 20 minutes ago, with him and Roses 1st and 2nd. Branchy 63 and Isuzu Brian were working really well together. Okay, so I've actually been given the call. Okay, so I didn't know this, but I'm actually going to be I'm doing all the calling, and I'll be doing the timing myself. I do apologise. Sorry, boys. Okay, so there we go. So it was all up to me, unfortunately. So I do apologise for that. But yes, we do have 5 minutes of this qualifying session as we get ourselves underway. I mean, I could probably say there was a nude streaker on the track, so that's why I was holding up the delays there. So we did have a bit of a streaker on the track. Do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We don't like to see those kind of antics on the racetrack here at Daytona, but the man has been evicted from the circuit, and now we can get ourselves underway for the qualifying session. 5 minutes of this session. We've going to go on board with It's Racing with teammate John 27 TCT, who are going to be forming a bit of a train, a bit of an It's Racing esports train to get some qualifying laps in and get their fastest lap times. So we're right on board with Birthday Boy ahead of it, behind his teammate in John 27. Let's sit back, enjoy, and let's get ourselves underway for qualifying for round 3 of the TS3 Touring Cars Championship on board with It's Racing, Jarman Dallets, and the It's Racing Esports Honda NSX. It's Racing crosses the line. He's in third place with his teammate .003, just ahead of him in second place. But the guy leading the way is Nightwalker 964 for the WRT Motorsports teams. Look at all this pack here, led by Budsy 76. He is hanging around in sixth place with his teammate right behind him in Rugworth. Nightwalker behind, and I believe that is Slapper's mate 117, who was actually, you could say, interesting story about Slappers. He was the fastest overall driver in the Daytona 500 qualifying set on Friday night with a 43.274 for Slapper's mate 117. But big difference. There is no high-end turbo. There's no high RPM turbo on his car. It's all BOP, no tuning. And his fastest is a 48.108. So far now it's up to John, leading the way by .001. So the It's Racing boys have a tactic to work together and try and push each other, as John is only a 10th down on his time, so not getting the best of the slipstream, not getting the best out of his car from It's Racing, his teammate, who is hanging around in fourth place. Calypso is in third place now, so nice good session for him. Griffo in fifth, very lucky to be making it this evening for the top split. He was hanging around in eighth place at the end of that pre-qualifier. Oh, as I see a bit of a spin there among some drivers there. I don't know who that was. We see Rugwood, we see Griffo. We see plenty of drivers going off, and that's not how you want to do your qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to be causing an accident. But luckily for these boys, they only have a minute and a half to go, as Rugworth is still struggling to get his car around to be straight. He's only going to have one more lap, but I don't think his speed is going to be able to build up in time to set himself a representative time. He's only on a 48.3. But looking back up to the front, the fastest man in the Daytona 500, Slapper's mate 117, is taking provisional pole with a 47.865, so working very well for him. Fastest man in the Daytona 500 qualified, and so far fastest man for TS2 touring cars for the Daytona 150-kilometer race. Rose is hanging around in second place, not having the best time here compared to his pre-qualifying, who he took, I believe, was fourth place in the pre-qualifying race. So as they get these boys into 10 seconds, we will call the checkered flag for these boys. So there we go, checkered flag is raised as we wait for those drivers to come by. Who's on a representative time? Who can get themselves, who can snag themselves a pole position on the last second? I don't think anyone's challenging. I believe we're going to look towards the back here. We're going to look towards John and It's Racing. Will they be able to get themselves onto the front row? Will John take pole position? No, he won't. It's Racing will stay in fifth place. So far, advantage goes to Slapper's mate 117 from WTCC. Anybody else on a representative time? I don't think so. So that is it. The fastest man in the Daytona 500 qualifiers, Slapper's mate 117, is so far setting the pace in the TS2 Touring Cars Championship as he's about to cross the line for his last lap. Will anybody take over his spot? No, they don't. So that is it. We've got a few drivers rounding up the back straight. Calypso is hanging around the back there. Will he be able to get himself? I don't think so. No, he's got no tone. He's got on a 7-minute, 7-second lap there. Well, my game glitched out, unfortunately. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the TS2 qualifying. We have Slapper's mate 117 from WTCC taking pole position yet again. The second pole position he will take at the Daytona International Speedway. So obviously he's starting to master the oval racing qualifying. So great job for Slapper's mate and WTCC, and a very nice livery. Nice, very NASCAR-esque livery for Slapper's mate. John 27 TCT takes second place. Unfortunately, couldn't help his teammate out in It's Racing. Jarman Dalitz in fifth place. Nightwalker 964 takes third. Calypso, we're hanging around in fourth place. It's Racing will hold out fifth. So we look at the gaps here between first and fifth is only a tenth, or less than a tenth rather. So very, very close qualifying amongst those drivers. less than a tenth. That is crazy close. Griffo in 6th place. Budsy in 7th. Will also with Brian in 8th and his mates in Branchy right behind in 9th, and Rugworth rounding up the top 10. Roses couldn't get his best lap in 11th place. Rusty in 12th. Lunacy, who was the winner of pre-qualifying, is down in 13th. So I guess in a way, qualifying is not really a thing that people want to be too concerned about, because it doesn't matter where you end up. You could be Lunacy in 13th and it could win the race. You never know. Oval racing is a very unique part of motorsport. Soul Reaper will take out 14th place, and Isa Benjo will take out 15th. Given the all clear by It's Racing to go green flag for what is going to be an amazing race amongst our drivers this evening here for TS2 for round 3, the top split of TS2 touring cars. We wish our drivers all the best. So the first lap will be the formation lap here for the Track Stars TS2 touring cars. Daytona 150 this evening. Slappers Mate will be taking pole position ahead of John 27 TCT, Nightwalker 964 in 3rd, Calypso from the Ice Group Racing Nissan in 4th place. It's Racing, the birthday boy, in the top 5. Griffo will be holding on into 6th place. Budsy 76 will be in 7th for the Steel City Mash Buds Racing Team. Isuzu Brian and Branchy 8th and 9th despite their 30-second time penalty in pre-qualifying. Will be in 8th and 9th place. Rugworth just hanging on inside the top 10. Bite the Roses will be in 11th. Unfortunately for him, not the best qualifying session he's had. Lunacy hanging around in 12th, I believe, or he might be 13th. Yes, so Rusty is in 12th, Lunacy is in 13th, Soul Reaper in 14th, and rounding out the rear of the field, 15-man driver lineup here for Track Stars TS2, Benjo in 15th place. So as drivers maintain a 150, I'll jump out and get the spectator cam. No safety cars in this race, ladies and gentlemen, as the damage is on light. And it's all up to the drivers to try and make sure they can get themselves back, get themselves in the best position possible to take out the victory. You can work as teammates, you can create rivalries, you can create friendly rivalries amongst your competitors this evening to try and make sure you work together and pull away from the rest of the field. But as the flag is about to go green, we're about to start this 38-lap Daytona 150. It is going to be Slappers Mate 117 ahead of John 27 TCT, taking out the first line honours as he takes out the first place going into the first banking of the Daytona 150. Slappers Mate 117 in first place. Nightwalker 964 hanging around in second. He's got that inside line compared to John 27 TCT as I see a bit of a shunt back there. No, it's not shunt, just cars just crashing into the wall. But so far, oh no, actually it isn't. Rusty Nuts was involved in an accident there, so that looks like that's an early shower for Rusty Nuts 75 from the Robo Sport Racing Camp. Unfortunate for him to have a bit sustained engine damage and car damage, so very unlucky. But as we look towards the front, Nightwalker 964 had a bit of a Tokyo drift on the second banking there as things get heated up amongst our drivers this evening. Slappers Mate will take the lead at the end of lap 1 of this 38-lap race with Griffo Tony in second place, Budsy 76 in third, John 27 in fourth. So many changing of the orders, it's incredible. Who knows where we are? But look behind John, look at that angry pack behind him. That is incredible. All the sparks are flying and cars are drifting sideways, whether that's lag or whether them not being able to control their cars. But my goodness, you don't want to look in the rear vision mirror of John, Budsy, Griffo, or even Slappers Mate. But this is a good tactic by WTCC for Slappers and Griffo. They are 1 and 2 on the track as we see. Oh, as you see an incident there, that is It's Racing. He's got himself all tangled up, but he saved it. He's only got front aero and rear wing damage to his car, but that's not going to help his cause. He's got a few drivers coming up towards him. They want to try and make sure they work together, maybe push him up towards the field. I think Isuzu Bryden's going to go past him. Yes, he will. But that is very unfortunate for It's Racing Jump Dallas to be down in third second, all caught up in that melee on the second banking on lap 2. Bite the Roses has got himself a half-second penalty there. I think going past the double yellow lines on the inside, and Rusty Nuts, unfortunately for him, all the way back down the field. As they looked up towards the front, there is a massive incident, massive crash that has been involved with Budsy 76 and a few drivers right behind. I believe that was only Budsy and a few others behind. I'm not so sure who they were, as I just saw on the mini-map. As I see another one as well, Rugworth is involved as well. So chaos is happening, ladies and gentlemen, on this oval race between... Oh, there's more contact has been made. My goodness, so much crashing, so many incidents to try and keep up with everybody. This is incredible stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We've never seen such things like this. Is this a preview of what we're going to see for the Daytona 500 coming up tomorrow evening at 3 p.m. for Split 2, and then the top split in the main series at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time? If you want to keep an eye on that, do please follow the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. Link, hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure you follow us for all of the touring cars action, whether it be main series, TS2 or TS3. If you want to get yourself involved, join our Discord as well. But so far, I don't think anybody wants to be joining in this race so far. I don't think Slappers wants to be involved. And what are we going to see here? We're going to see Ice Avenger 19 going to be taking the lead of lap 5. So I think he'll be able to count himself as on the register of leading a lap at the Daytona International Speedway. So good on you, Benjo, for making stats possible at Track Stars Racing Series. But still, Slappers Mate is in the lead with Griffo in second, Soul Reaper in third, Benjo in fourth, Branchy and Lunacy in fifth and sixth, and they've got themselves a huge gap over between Devlin, Nightwalker, Brian. It's Racing has dropped down to 10th place. Rose is in 11th, John in 12th. So what a horror run he's had. Obviously he was involved in some sort of incident around this track, around this part of the track, only a lap or two ago. So very unlucky for John, and that's his race over, done and dusted, unless there is a more major incident. As I look up ahead, there's somebody off the track there. Who was that? That is Benjo. Benjo's gone off the second banking. He's been involved in a massive pile-up, or he must have made a mistake there, because he's got engine damage, and John's going to cruise on by and say, see you later, Benjo. I've got nothing. I don't want to have anything. I don't want to deal with you on this oval, or tri-oval at Daytona. So unfortunately for Benjo, he drops all the way down to the back. His car's just been repaired now, and unfortunately for Rugworth, Budsy and Rusty all hanging around the back. As I see another incident there. Who is that? That belongs to Branchy 63. So my goodness, so crashes are coming through thick and fast, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness, how many incidents have we seen there? Have we seen, I think, about 4, 5, 6? I can't keep up. Unbelievable. It's so close, and Branchy's not been able, can't get his car going. Now he's pointing it in the right direction. So Branchy in 15th place, but still leading the pack on lap 8 of 9 as we see a yellow flag. No, we don't see a yellow flag. So that's definitely helped out a few drivers to at least move up a couple of positions. So we see Calypso in 5th, Lunacy is now joined in on this 4-man battle pack. So these top 4 are running away from the rest of the field there. They've got themselves about 6.7 seconds between Calypso and Slappers Mate 117 from WTCC. So if anything else happens, so if nothing else happens between the top 4 drivers, you'll be seeing those top 4 drivers duking it out for the win this evening for the TS2 Touring Cars Championships. We have Slappers Mate 117 in first place, Griffo in second, his teammate in second place, Soul Reaper putting on a really nice performance there for the WRT boys in third, Lunacy for the Project 1 racing team in fourth, Calypso, Nightwalker 964, 5th and 6th. Isuzu Bry's got himself a half-second penalty, so he'll drop out of this pack and lose, well, hopefully for him, not lose the toe. But as if Nightwalker is pushing Calypso, which he is doing right now, Oh, as I see a little bit of lagging between Calypso and Nightwalker. But I think, to be honest, there is a lot of lag this evening in this lobby. But they've just pulled away from Isuzu Brian. So Isuzu Brian is going to be a bit of a lone, bit of the Lone Ranger in this middle part of this race, as we are lap 9 of 38 here this evening for the TS2 Daytona 150. Bite the Roses is just holding on into 8th place, so him and It's Racing have formed an alliance and are working together to try and push themselves up towards the top 5. So it's not out of the running yet, but It's Racing has just pulled out of the draft there, and it's just not enough. That Honda is very disadvantaged with its power, with its weight, weighing in at 1 ton and 49 kilograms for It's Racing and the Hondas. So the Hondas are not really coping it when they are out of the slipstream. As I see, what has happened to Griffo? So his lap time was a 49 and a 50. So I wonder if he got himself a penalty there. So maybe a 2-second penalty or a 1 second. I'm not sure. But something's happened to Griffo, and we did not catch it on the camera. So many places to look, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know where we're looking, but all I know is so far Lunacy has set the fastest lap on lap 5. And he's hanging around behind. He is hanging around the rear wing of Slapper's mate 117, the fastest man around the Daytona International Speedway, who will be racing in the top split of the Daytona 500 tomorrow evening at 7 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. He's got Lunacy and Old Soul Reaper, so that's Griffo out of the running. So you want to think Calypso and Nightwalker are going to start working together and try and bring themselves closer to Griffo, but they've got themselves about a 3.7 seconds, 3.8 to try and find and close up to Griffo in 4th place. So it looks like the top 3, Slappers, Lunacy and Soul Reaper. Would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? We have a Nissan, Lexus and Honda in the top 3. Who would have predicted that on lap 11 of 38 this evening? The Nissan leading the way ahead of the Lexus and the Honda in Oz Soul Reaper. As we scour down through the field, It's Racing is hanging on to the back of Bite the Roses. They're slowly starting to close in on Brian, but it's not really enough, as Brian is starting to close up and trying to get himself back into slipstream range. I think he might just be there. I would think so. I'm not so. I can't really remember if GT7 slipstream is about 7/10, and then you'll be able to get yourself a tow. As there you go. So he's just under 7/10, and he's just slowly trying to reel in that gap between himself and Nightwalker 964. Looking down the field, we have John in 10th place, all alone on his own, all on his lonesome in 10th place. Benjo in 11th, just outside the top 10, alongside Rugworth and Budsy 76. But the 2 MSR boys in Rugworth and Budsy are going to try and work together, try and close up to Benjo as quickly as possible. They're on the same piece of tarmac, but I'm not so sure if it's going to be enough, but we'll wait and see. Time will tell. Branchy 63 is in 14th, and he's got Rusty Nuts with him, so they're trying to work together and try and push themselves forwards. But leading behind them, they've got Slapper's mate, Lunacy and Soul Reaper just about to lap them. So we're about to complete lap 13 and start lap 14 of this 38 lap race, and there are about to be some lap cars in the way between Slapper's mate, Lunacy and Soul Reaper. As we ride on board with Slapper's mate, so the boys are doing really well running that high line, trying to get out of Slapper's mate 117's way. So that's the way to do it, especially when you watch NASCAR racing. If you have the faster car, you want to have the guys on the lead lap going on the inside, and the slower cars, lap cars, on the outside. As we see Soul Reaper try and go for an outside move on Lunacy. Where is Slapper's going to go? Who is he going to favour? He's going to favour Lunacy for the tow, and Soul Reaper's just going to have to tuck back into 3rd place. Griffo hanging around in 4th place, but that gap is coming down pretty quickly between him and Nightwalker. There's about just over 2 seconds between Nightwalker and Griffo, and he's bringing Brian with him. So for Bite the Roses and It's Racing, they're not going to be able to get themselves close to the wire. So I see an incident there. That is Calypso. So he's gone spinning around, and he was looking for a potential top 5 this evening, and he's all the way down in 9th place with engine damage, but that's just fixed itself up right now. And John 27 TCT overtakes him on the outside banking, on the second banking, and he'll take 9th place. So Devlin Calypso picks up another half-second penalty, so that's not what he wanted. His car got fixed up, but for his day to go from bad to worse, he's picked up a half-second as well, going over the double yellow line there. So that's his race over. Absolutely. So, but just still hanging on into the top 10 with his boss in Benjo 19 in 11th place. But you look back here, they've definitely, so you can definitely say Rugworth and Butsy have definitely caught up to the back of Isa Benjo, and they're going to be looking to take 11th place away from the Iceman in Benjo. We'll be keeping an eye on that very shortly. As we want to go on board with Lunacy on the back of Slappers Mate 117, we're going to take you guys for a ride, see what it's like in the cockpit of Lunacy, the Project 1 racing team Lexus Car 19 for the Daytona 150 for round 3 of the Track Stars TS2 Touring Cars Championship. So very unique hot lap there from Lunacy in the 19 Project 1 racing team Lexus. But he's gone around the outside line, and he's actually given that spot up towards Soul Reaper. So as we saw the lap before, Soul Reaper was looking to make a move on the outside of Lunacy on this back straight here, but he couldn't because the Honda was a little bit overweight. But look at this, he's trying to make a move on Slappers Mate 117. That's not the wisest move that he's going to make, and he's going to lose he's not going to lose his potential to get first place, but he'll drop right back down into 3rd place. So Soul Reaper not playing his cards right there. Oh, there's a little bit of contact has been made between Soul Reaper as we go on board between him and the Lunacy. So he will again take back 2nd place. He's got to work with Slappers Mate 117 to try and work with him and try and push away, but he's got Lunacy right behind him. They've also got the lap cars in Rusty Nuts and Branchy in 14th and 15th place. But let's look back down the field. We wanted to keep an eye on these guys. Yes, so they did the right thing. They got themselves ahead of Benjo, Isa Benjo, Rugworth, and Budsy 76. But look at these guys. They've definitely caught up. John hanging around in 9th place. So we've got John, Devlin, Rugworth, and Budsy. So a top 10 is not out of our not out of the question for the MSR boys and Rugworth and Budsy. So I, for myself as a team boss, are cheering them on the sidelines and wishing and hoping these guys can get themselves right up into the top 10, at least one of them. Or both of them. You never know. But the gap between them and It's Racing is huge, 22.8 seconds. That's what happens around with oval racing, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously you have one slight touch, one slight 360, and you are gone. As look at them as they approach the 2nd banking right now. If you look at It's Racing, they're on the 1st banking. So that's what 23 seconds looks like between 8th and 9th place. So huge. But these guys are slowly creeping up on Isuzu Brian there. And Brian's actually lost touch of Nightwalker 964. He was actually hanging around the back of Nightwalker 964, helping him close up to Griffo. And look at that, he's done it all by himself now. He's got nobody to help him out. And Griffo is coming under pressure from Nightwalker 964. I don't think Nightwalker wants to pull out of the draft just yet because he knows that Honda is very heavy compared to that Nissan GTR. So he wants to tuck right in behind him, try and pull away from Isuzu O'Brien. But unfortunately for Isuzu O'Brien, he might be drawn into the clutches of Roses and It's Racing. As we look down the field, John 27 is in 9th. Buzzy's moved himself up into 10th. He's got his teammate in Ruckworth helping him out. So the MSR boys working wonders together to try and push him through into that top 10 to get both cars in the top 10. We'll wait and see at the end of lap 38. But looking back towards the front, we do see Branchy and Rusty Nuts trying to help Lunacy here. But what I've noticed here as well is that Lunacy is slightly out of the draft here, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not so sure what's happened to Lunacy. He maybe had a little bit of a slight mistake, a little tangling with some of the back markers there, but he's actually now, yes, you look at it, he's out of the slipstream. So that gap is ever so increasing. 0.9, that's probably going to go over to 1 second, possibly. We'll wait and see, but he's definitely lost touch of the front two runners here. So what we had, ladies and gentlemen, we had 15 drivers vying for the win this evening. Then all of a sudden, quickly, within a heartbeat, drops down to about 8 runners, and then about 6, and then 4. And then we had 3 for a very long time. But now it looks like we're going to be having 2 runners, unless Soul Reaper makes a slight mistake and opens up an opportunity for Lunacy to get back into the draft and make it a 3-way battle for the win for the Track Stars TS2 Touring Cars Daytona 150. So as Benjo starts to pull out of the line, out of the way, taking the high line, he's got himself some damage. Hopefully he doesn't want to cause too much trouble amongst Slappers, mate. But look at this, Soul Reaper's taking full advantage of Benjo's high line. Is he going to get himself into the lead as he takes Benjo's high line? Using his draft, but will Slappers, mate, tuck in behind? No. He's actually alongside him, and Lunacy, not Lunacy, Soul Reaper, no, he won't take Benjo's draft and get himself in the lead. So he almost made that work, but not quite. Griffo's still holding on to 4. He's actually extended his gap a little bit over Nightwalker 964. Brian is now under pressure from Roses and It's Racing. So this is the key thing to over racing, ladies and gentlemen. You have to pick a rival. You have to form an alliance with somebody that might not be in your team. You have to work together, bump draft into the guys such as Isuzu Brian, who was all alone after being on the back of Nightwalker 964. He was all alone. And now, look, he has gone into the clutches of It's Racing and Roses for the battle for 6th place. But I think, as well, Nightwalker's dropped off Griffo, dropped off the rear wing of Griffo. I think the Honda weight is really affecting Nightwalker's performance to try and close the gap to Griffo. So this could also bring in the likes of Isuzu Brian, It's Racing and Roses. So I wouldn't even count out 5th place. You can't count out any positioning at all, not even 1st place, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute scenes here this evening for the Daytona 150 for the Track Stars TS2. As we look back towards the front, Soul Reaper slightly just had a slight lead over Slapper's mate 117. He's taking a bit of that, he's trying to take that high line, trying to get an advantage, but that high line, I can tell you, does not work on this track for these cars, and they are really pulling away from Lunacy, and Lunacy's trying to find somebody. He's trying to find somebody like Benjo to try and work with him. But Benjo pulls out of the draft and lets Lunacy on him. Makes Lunacy go take that inside line. Soul Reaper's trying to go for that outside line. It's not the best thing. Oh, there's so much lag amongst our drivers this evening. But I guess that's GT7 lobbies for you, hey? Looking down the field, we see Nightwalker 964. Looks like he's had a bit of a slight incident there. Look, you can definitely see he's got some damage on the front right of his car, so maybe just tagged the wall on the first banking, and that drops him down all the way from 5th down to 7th place. And now we see It's Racing, the birthday boy, in 5th place. So back where he started at the beginning of the race on lap 1, starting in 5th, he's now back up into 5th, and they're really closing in on Griffo in 4th place. So Griffo's got no hope of catching up to Lunacy, so he's going to come under threat between It's Racing and Roses. Those two are working like a team. It's Racing for the It's Racing Esports and Roses for WTCC. The number 95 and the 347 working together to try and catch up to Griffo and the 62 from WTCC. So I wonder, Griffo is from WTCC and Roses is racing under WTCC as well. I wonder if Griffo is going to be helping Roses out and maybe put It's Racing at a disadvantage. Instead of taking 5th place, he might take 6th. You never know. Anything can happen. With 11 laps to go, we have Slapper's mate 117 leading the way. Just behind him, very slightly behind him, is Oz Soul Reaper from WRT. Lunacy is really closing up now, so he's back in the slipstream range between himself and Soul Reaper. Obviously, looks like he's been getting a bit of helping hand from Benjo 19 behind. Griffo hanging on into 4th place, and like I predicted, It's Racing and Roses have definitely caught up to Griffo. And Griffo's going to be having a lot of pressure from the It's Racing driver and his teammate in Roses. But Roses goes for the high line. No, he doesn't. He's looking. I thought he was going to look for a high line to take advantage over It's Racing. Nightwalker 964 holds on to 7th. Isuzu Brian picks himself a half-second penalty there, and that'll drop him all the way back down. He'll just hang on to 8th place there because the gap between him and Rugworth for the MSR VL Racing Lexus in 9th place, with John in 10th. As we see a lot of lagging, a lot of cars going inside each other. Oh, there's a little bit of contact made. The lag tonight is definitely not on point for our drivers this evening. Rugworth now drops back down into 10th place. John 27 TCT holding that inside line. Budsy going to give him a bit of a push there, and Rugworth will take back 9th place, but John has got that inside line. He's going to try and see if he can tuck into the slipstream of Rugworth. He doesn't, but Budsy 76 is going to go right behind him and try and make sure. As I look back down, look over the field there. No, I thought he had a incident. I just saw Soul Reaper drop down to 3rd place there, but I thought that was a bit of a. I thought he had a bit of an off there. So no, he's just tucked back in. And look at these guys. Look at all these drivers here. Got Soul Reaper right behind Benjo 19, a lap down. So even though you have lap cars ahead of you involved, they could still race you, because even they've got a race of their own, because Benjo's down in 13th and he's trying to fend off from Branchy and Rusty Nuts for 13th place. Oh, as I see Benjo get some damage, and that's not going to help him for this back straight. And Rusty Nuts pulls out on the outside line and relegates Benjo back to 15th and last place. So 15 drivers this evening with only 10 laps to go. We've got Slapper's mate 117, the pole man of the TS2 Touring Cars Championship, and still holding on to 1st place. Soul Reaper in 2nd place. Lunacy in 3rd. Griffo's got pressure from It's Racing and Roses from 4th, 5th and 6th. Nightwalker 964 is 10 seconds behind Roses, so he ain't going to pose a threat whatsoever. Brian is really closing in on that Honda NSX there. That Honda is very disadvantaged with its power, with its weight issues, with the balance of performance. John 27 TCT holds on to 9th. Rugworth is in 10th. Calypso in 11th. And Budsy looks like he's had a bit of a shocking last lap there. Yes, he's set a 52.5, so he's well out of this. So he's just left his teammate on his own to battle it out to get himself as high as 9th place ahead of John 27 TCT. But then we look back towards this front pack here. It's getting really close amongst the drivers here. We don't know which way to look. We don't know whether we look towards these guys. Yeah, Isuzu Brun's definitely caught up tonight. Walker 964, and that battle for 7th is going to rage on until the final lap, until the final corner. Another battle pack we'll want to keep our eyes on is for 4th place, Griffo Tony and Roses for the battle for 4th. But here's an interesting thing. Griffo Tony, It's Racing and Roses, I've just noticed this, they're only about 3.6 seconds, 3.7 behind the front 3. So I think that with the amount of holding up, the amount of times they've been held up by the back markers has kind of closed that gap ever so slightly on with Griffo to the back of Lunacy. So I mean, I don't want to pull out miracles here, but if somehow one of the drivers ahead of them has a bit of a tangle or a bit of an accident, these 3 will definitely be right there to pounce. Battle pack is raging on between the top 3. Slapper's Mate, Soul Reaper and Lunacy, top 3. And as I say that, look at this. The gap is closing between Griffo and Lunacy. 2.6 seconds now, but only about 4 laps to go. I don't think it's going to be enough. And Roses has dropped off the back of these guys as well. So Benjo needs probably going to try and see if he can help out Roses to try and close up to the gap. But he's lost touch with It's Racing and Griffo. So this is It's Racing's chance to get as high up as 4th place at the end of the Daytona 150. Slapper's Mate still holding on to the lead as we go about 3 laps to go. Slapper's Mate ahead of Soul Reaper, ahead of Lunacy. Griffo Tony right behind, 2.2 now behind Lunacy. So these 2 are really working together. It's Racing doing a wonderful job to try and really push Griffo to the back of Lunacy as they've got lap traffic to deal with themselves. There they are, Griffo and It's Racing. Look at that, it's coming down very quickly. It's 1.7, 1.6 seconds between Griffo and It's Racing to the back of Lunacy. So will they get themselves a chance to battle it out for the podium at the end of the race? 1.3 seconds now. So the gap is closing, and it's closing very fast, 1.1. And look at all this chaos that they have to deal with. It's less than a second now. So now It's Racing is going to have a chance, and Griffo, not only is it going to be a 3-car battle for the win, it's going to be a 5-car battle. And they've got lap traffic to deal with as well. So my goodness, how these things have turned. Griffo in 4th, It's Racing in 5th. All come from out of nowhere. It's going to be so close for the end of the lap. We've only got about 2 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Slapper's Mate 117, Soul Reaper in 2nd, Lunacy in 3rd. But look who's closed up, and Griffo is trying to go around the outside, and It's Racing is not going to follow him around. And It's Racing's got to put himself in a great advantage here to overtake Griffo for 4th place. Yes, he has. He's overtaken Griffo, and It's Racing has taken 4th place away from Griffo Tony 62. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for the second last time around the banking. And look at this, they are really close amongst each other. Slapper's Mate 117, Soul Reaper in 2nd, Lunacy in 3rd. Griffo Tony has now taken back 4th place, and It's Racing has dropped off in 5th place. So look at this, look at that. We've got ourselves a finish here. Soul Reaper, oh, there's contact made between Soul Reaper and it looks like Griffo Tony's been involved as well. Lunacy is in 2nd place, and that's promoted Jarmandale. It's Racing into 3rd, but he's going to come into 2nd place now. Will he get himself a 2nd? Yes, he does. It's Racing has taken 2nd place, but I feel like that's the end of it as we see Slapper's Mate 117 as we saw final lap contact between Soul Reaper and Griffo 62. My goodness, what a race this has been, ladies and gentlemen, for the TS2 Touring Cars Championship for the Daytona 150. And for the man that led it on pole position from the start to finish, didn't drop a lap at all, did not lose his lap, and Slapper's Mate 117 takes the victory and the line honours here at Track Stars TS2 for WTCC. Well done, Slapper's Mate 117. You definitely deserved that race. Top drive also for It's Racing. Came out of nowhere him and Griffo Tony 62 to take out second place. Wow, what a comeback for It's Racing. Lunacy holds on into third place. Roses will be finishing in fourth place. Soul Reaper, after that last lap contact that he had with Griffo Tony, he'll be kicking himself in fifth place. Griffo in sixth. Brian in seventh does take that position ahead of Nightwalker 964. John 27 TCT just holds off Rugworth, and then rounding up the last position on the lead lap, Devlin Calypso, Rusty, Branchy, Budsy, and Benjo rounding up the 15 drivers. But my goodness, what a race. The man that led it from pole position from start to finish did not even want to think about losing that victory, and a well-deserved victory for Slappers Mate 117. I need to catch my breath back, ladies and gentlemen. What a race that was. Incredible stuff from Slappers Mate 117. My goodness. An honourable mention, you'd have to say, honourable mention goes to It's Racing. What a comeback for the man that took out, that is his birthday as well. So he almost got a victory on his birthday, ladies and gentlemen. So I think he'll be very happy to take second place. And I don't think the win could have been possible, but hey, anything is possible around with oval racing. So this is a sight to see. This is a sight to become for the main event tomorrow night for the Daytona 500. Split 2 will be running up first at 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and then the main split, the top split for the Daytona 500 at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. For the birthday boy, Jarman Dalitz picks up second place, and Lunacy will be taking home third place as well. My goodness. But the victor, the fastest man around an oval track, whether it is TS2 or main series, the fastest man on an oval belongs to Slappers Mate 117. Fastest man in the qualifiers for the Daytona 500, and the winner of Track Stars TS2 touring cars for the Daytona 150 for round 3 of the championship. Great racing from all. That is what we want to see in oval racing. We cannot wait to bring all of this action to you tomorrow night here at Track Stars Racing Series. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Do click the notification bell and make sure you guys stay tuned for the Daytona 500. That'll be coming up tomorrow night. We cannot wait. All of our drivers are so excited for this race. It's been building up to this. We've done our support categories in TS3 and TS2. And now we have the main event tomorrow night. This is going to be amazing, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot wait. But we'll be seeing the TS2 boys back in action, back on the circuits at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. So Devlin Calypso's hometown, home race for him. Fingers crossed he'll be able to race it in TS2. But as our TS2 boys are wrapping up their engines, putting their cars in the garage, some of them will be installing their high RPM turbos for the main race coming up tomorrow. But for now, for the TS2 boys, you'll see these guys next week, and stay tuned for the Daytona 500 coming up tomorrow night. But for now, it is a good night for all of us here at Track Stars Racing Series.